Temporarily from the New Hampshire Liberty Forum in Manchester, New Hampshire, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, February 19th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.37 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,227 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $423. Antiwar.com reports Syrian army forces, backed by heavy Russian airstrikes, advanced on Thursday into the town of Kansaba along the coast in the Latakia Province. Little fighting appears to have taken place as the rebels withdrew back into the Idlib province. This essentially marks the end of the offensive to recover Latakia and sets the stage for an advance into the Idlib province, which is controlled by a coalition of rebel factions dominated by Al-Qaeda's Nusra Front. A previous offensive also advanced up to Idlib from the south by way of Homs, and another is ongoing in Aleppo to the east. The success in Latakia gives the Syrian military a choice between making Idlib its next target or focusing instead on the Islamic State targets in Aleppo while keeping the Nusra militants contained within the single province. A ceasefire with other rebels is near but explicitly excludes both the Islamic State and Nusra forces. Latakia is the first major target for Syrian forces when Russia joined the war, with Russia keen to see more breathing room around its old naval base at Tartus. Since then, the war has shifted to a lot of different areas, but has allowed the Syrian military to recover some lost ground.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports if the U.S. Department of Education continues to treat for-profit colleges as if they are too big to fail, reports say they will continue wasting billions of taxpayer dollars. Chris Hicks, who formerly led the Debt-Free Future campaign for the advocacy group Jobs with Justice, said the Education Department has refused to use its authority to regulate such colleges, setting up students and taxpayers for massive financial blunders. He said the department is not closely monitoring these schools or using the proper metrics as early warning indicators before an institution is beyond repair. For-profit colleges largely depend on federal dollars to finance the school, making student access to educational loans and veteran benefits essential. Hicks, who is now a union and advocacy group consultant for student debt issues, said officials at the department have often seemed paralyzed with fear when faced with taking action against large for-profit institutions in crisis. Faced with the prospect of outcomes that could displace and disrupt the educational advancement of tens or hundreds of thousands of students, the department has repeatedly propped up failing institutions or ignored early indicators that an institution was on the brink of failure. This approach, he says, has only increased the damage when such struggling institutions eventually failed. Hicks points to Corinthian colleges, which abruptly closed in 2014 amid a federal investigation into questionable practices, highlights the failings of the education department. Thousands of former students at Corinthian colleges are now fighting to get their student loans dismissed after they were left with huge debt and no degree. Hicks added that the Department of Education should look to underutilized regulations, including suspending enrollment of new students and letters of credit to keep a closer eye on the schools. A letter of credit is a written assurance from the school affirming ample funds are available to the department on demand.
In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
Reuters reports the chief of the Department of Homeland Security cyber organization tasked with protecting internet infrastructure is stepping down, according to an agency official. Ann Barron DiCamillo, director of the U.S. Computer Emergency Readiness Team, is leaving her post, according to the official, though a specific timeline for her departure was not provided. The U.S. Computer Emergency Readiness Team, formed in 2003, is responsible for helping to detect, analyze, and respond to cyber attacks. Barron DiCamillo has served in her role for over 3 years. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.